It's actually very recent understanding in science of photobiomodulation that only near-infrared light has penetration depth. So if you want to target anything inside the body, like say inside the joint, you have frozen shoulder, inflammation is inside the body, sciatica or piriformis syndrome inside the body, you really need near-infrared lights. Why? Because it has ability to go deep in the body. Now, I need to tell you that lots of people know about lasers because they have coherent near-infrared lights. What it means photons very organized, like soldiers, that they work like together. And because of this, the penetration depth is easier. Now the whole industry moved from lasers to LEDs devices. You probably heard about the panels. So LED devices, they don't have coherent light. And typically their LEDs are weak. So if you compare to laser devices, they have less penetration depth. Yes. But I'm going to talk soon about the very specific device which work exactly like laser.
Welcome to Harmonic Alignment,
a podcast that explores the new frontier of energy medicine,
bridging the gap between Western medicine and quantum physics,
giving you easy and practical solutions.
Guided by
me, Dr. Larisa Sharipova,
and me, Priscilla Koblenz. Join us on a journey discovering your harmonic alignment. I am so excited. On today's episode of Harmonic Alignment, we have an extraordinary guest, a brilliant woman, scientist and doctor, Zulia Frost, a renowned physician. She has specialized in neuromodulation, photobiomodulation, and traditional Chinese medicine. She's been helping thousands of patients get pain relief and regain function. She has an incredible story, her own health journey that led her to using the latest in science to help people heal. And the answer is light, and it's red light energy. So you're going to love this conversation. Dr. Larisa Sharipova and Dr. Zulia Frost really dig deep into help you understand how powerful sunlight energy is in the form of red light therapy. Reserve your spot today on the Tuscany Transformation Retreat, June 15th through the 21st, 2025. Reconnect with your inner beauty, power, and abundance. Come join Dr. Larisa Sharipova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, for 6 nights and 5 full days in the beautiful Tuscan countryside. We'll be staying at a villa that has a gorgeous swimming pool and hot tub, a Turkish bath, as well as this amazing yoga studio overlooking the olive trees and the vineyards. We'll offer daily yoga, meditation, breath work, sound healing, spa treatments, a Tuscan bike ride, a pasta cooking class, olive oil and wine tastings, as well as amazing, amazing food. For more detailed itinerary, check out our website and reserve your spot today. We've got 9 spots available.
Today, I want to welcome my colleague to our podcast, Dr. Zulia Frost, who is very dear friend to me and doing a lot of interesting things in the world, from medicine to Chinese medicine and photomodulation and bioenergetics. I'm very curious about your medical career and also your medical journey and what you led to specialize in photobiomodulation and bioenergetics.
Dr. Larisa, always a pleasure to meeting you and especially doing podcasts with you. And I'm excited to tell people about all these new things which should really enter into your personal life, and you should be doing this therapy. So I want to explain a little bit my background. I started my career as a medical doctor because my mother was a medical doctor and she was a really good one. So I wanted to be like her. And I went to be a pediatrician because, again, I love children and I thought that is the most interesting profession in the world. I did work in medical center as a pediatrician for a number of years. And I also worked in the emergency hospital for 4 years. In those days, I was able to go on the scene of accident and make diagnosis right there and then, do the emergency services. Really challenging because you see the life on the edge. After 4 years, seeing absolutely everything from road traffics to sadly suicides, you see it all, and it leaves such a mark in your soul. It was very hard, especially seeing when children die, and it feels very unfair. So with that in mind, I also was curious about technologies all the time. My first step out of the general practice, pediatric practice, was ultrasound diagnostics. So I did obviously pregnant women diagnosis in all stages of pregnancy, but also internal organs like liver, gallbladder, kidneys, etc. It was very interesting, and that was part of my journey where I work in a huge hospital, neurological actually specialization hospital. And what put me on this path? I'd say my own experience being a patient, because I unfortunately was involved in a very severe road accident and almost on the brink of life and death. In fact, 2 weeks I was in coma and everything. Amazingly, I was delivered to the hospital where I actually worked at the time. The doctor even didn't recognize me because I was so hugely bruised and everything. So what happened next? I had a number of spinal injuries, severe, and I had to learn how to recover. And in my case, I did not require surgery, so I found the ways to recover, and I put in practice everything I knew, but also I designed my own set of exercises. I was getting up the sunrise, intuitively, walking first, then running into the sunlight, healing sunlight. I remember literally bowing to sunlight. It was such an experience. Probably like animals, when we in this state, life and death, we become so intuitive to that. I recovered pretty much to the point which I was functional within 7 months. And after that, I was left with debilitating pain, which would come back in and out most of the time. And what really helped me, these bioenergetic approaches to fix that problem. And it was so significant that put me on the path to study energy medicine, how we can impact the body using devices which produce certain frequency of light. Once I fixed myself, then that's it, no stopping me. I wanted to fix all of the world and tell people about this because, my patient would say, I never heard of this. Why I don't hear this? That put me on a point when I wanted to learn more. I went to Germany to study photobiomodulation with Dr. Weber in the Weber Institute. I studied the Chinese medicine and acupuncture to understand how energy circulates in the body. At least someone could explain that, which mainstream medicine wouldn't. So it brought me to the point when I set up the whole center. My clinic was focused on using energetic modalities to get people back to health.
An interesting journey, and also from pain to purpose, right? You had your own challenges, health challenges, and that's what usually motivate people to change the trajectory of their profession or their life. I was trained also in conventional medicine, and we both were from Eastern Europe. So in our medical system, we actually use energy medicine for many, many years, decades. We have a whole department, right? We call it physical therapy, not physical like massages and working muscles, but using energy devices. And that's something that is missing in Western medicine, I think. So we have already basic knowledge that yes, this can help along with surgeries and medication and everything else. So it's like holistic approach to any health problem and challenges. Also, I have a lot in common with you besides being a graduate in medical school in Eastern Europe. I also work on ambulance while I was in medical school. So I've seen very severe cases when we had to go and help other people in emergency situation. And now I'm also practicing energy medicine. So we have a lot of paths that correspond, and I'm so happy that you can share your journey and what you created. So you specialize in photobiomodulation and bioenergetics. Today, I want to concentrate on photobiomodulation. So tell us what the word means and also how it works in the body, and if people are not familiar with that.
Dr. Larisa, it's a pleasure to know that you have the very similar path to me. I believe like attracts like. So when we project that there is a law of attractions is at play, meeting you, it was just confirmation to my theory. So photobiomodulation, it's an umbrella term, which basically means you stimulate with light and the body gets beneficial effects. This is the scientific name which you find in the literature. The whole industry started with understanding that light is the source of energy on the planet. Anything animated receives energy from the sun. And so eventually scientists learned how to extract certain part of light from the sun and make it used for your benefits, for your health. And at first, they started with lasers. You probably all know about lasers. I think Dr. Mester in the 60s first experimented with mice, and he was worried that this laser might cause cancer. So he did the experiments. He shaved the fur of the mice and exposed to light. Not only it didn't cause cancer, the fur was growing so fast and the mice were energetic and fantastic. So that kind of put the people on the path and saying, oh, well, okay, lasers, something in it. I remember even in my school, my teacher surgeon had actually practiced with lasers. That those days already, like you said, in Eastern Europe, we had that knowledge. And when I get in a skiing accident, I remember my wound was healed with a red laser. It did really work. So I already was prepared to accept this science. But really for you to understand that the sun produces light, which is electromagnetic radiation, and it consists of different wavelengths. Or if you remember from school, when you shine light from the sun through the prism, it breaks into these rainbow colors, blue, green, yellow, red. So white light is actually, it's all together. And science, photobiomodulation studies all the aspects from blue, green, yellow, red, and the infrared light. Also, you should know that from the sun, you'd say, why do I need devices? I may just go outside and get it. Well, the problem is we never have enough time to be outdoor, and people have seasons. Not always you have a climate to be outdoor. Like in Norway or England, it's really gray now, and after so many clouds, you don't really see sunlight, and you need it for your health. And so the devices are necessary because the scientists figure out, okay, these wavelengths specifically useful. And today I want to focus more on red and near infrared lights. So again, you probably know red is the one which is red in color, but near infrared or infrared full stop, you can't see, it's invisible. But we all know this because when you go on the beach and you feel warmth on your skin, this is infrared light. And this infrared light is really friendly. It's invisible, but it gives you heat. Well, in therapeutics, this light has been studied most of the time, a lot. It's the safest light. It does not cause any side effects whatsoever. But of course, when you go into spectrum of the middle range, far range infrared, the wavelengths getting longer, so you get more and more heat. And it actually absorbs in your body by water molecules. You have lots of water in your body. I think scientists are talking about at least 70%, but 80% desirable to have 80% of water in the body. And imagine all these long infrared waves absorbed by the body. That's how you feel warmth. I want to talk today particularly about red and near infrared, the spectrum which is very close to red. It has a slightly different mechanism of action. This kind of light is absorbed in our cells by the organelle called mitochondria. You probably heard about this. It's the energy center of the cell. And inside you have a pigment, and this pigment binds photons of life. So it stimulates the energy production in the cell. The more mitochondria you can activate with the sunlight, the more energy you feel in yourself. But this is only like starting mechanisms. With mitochondria, you bind more oxygen and you sort of kick out nitric oxide. Again, I don't want to be too scientific. I just say this is substance which are actually very important, because probably 80% of the drugs in cardiology aimed to release this nitric oxide because they open up blood flow to this area of the body where you shine light.
There's a lot of research done recently about nitric oxide, a lot of company making a lot of product for nitric oxide. Yeah, that's a great mechanism also using light. Do we have a light receptors in the body?
Yes, we do. The scientific name is chromophore. It basically means some kind of pigment. Like in mitochondria, in cytochrome C oxidase is a pigment. But besides that, for example, in hemoglobin, we have a pigment there. Methemoglobin, hemoglobin itself absorb light, but mostly in the green and blue light spectrum. We have opsins, those things which in your eyes, that's also accept light. We have a variety of other proteins in the body. We are born under the light. We're gonna die under the light. So all our body learn, I need to harvest energy. So these proteins, which like pigment, they absorb in a very similar way like your solar panels work. Remember, solar panels have substance coated, yes, and it's photosensitive. Same, like you say, light receptors, they're photosensitive. They capture the photons of light, and then on the back door, they produce energy for your house. You power the house in the very same way inside the cell, same process happening. You also make a lot more electrons, protons flow, and charge the mitochondrial membrane. You spin the engine, you make a lot more ATP, adenosine triphosphate molecules.
I think if we don't have a light in the world, we'll die, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So we won't have energy to exist. So yes, we should pray for the sun. I go sun gazing every day because I know it's good for the eyes, good for the skin, and good for mitochondria as well. So let's go back to the red light therapy. You said there is a different type of red light. So one is that visible red light, and other wavelengths become invisible, but they still have a lot of benefits. So let's talk about what benefits red light therapy has for the body.
If we talk specifically about red lights, first of all, you need to understand that it's being absorbed at the skin level. So the benefits from red light in such case will be anything to do with skin. Mm-hmm. So the wounds on the skin, maybe skin conditions like dermatitis, eczema, psoriasis, but also, the collagen inside the skin. Yes, when it absorbs light, it makes your collagen look fresher, younger, much better. That's why lots used in aesthetics.
Right, I just was about to say, because I go to esthetician shows and I see they have a mask, they have a machine. So this is a low spectrum of red light, right? So that work on superficial. It doesn't mean that it goes inside and it does not create the heat that ultra infrared or infrared does. One type of red that is beneficial superficially, right?
Yes, and now let's talk about near-infrared light. It's actually very recent understanding in science of photobiomodulation that only near-infrared light has penetration depth. So if you want to target anything inside the body, like say inside the joint, like you have frozen shoulder, inflammation is inside the body, sciatica or piriformis syndrome inside the body, you really need near-infrared lights. Why? Because it has ability to go deep in the body. Now, I need to tell you that lots of people know about lasers because they have coherent near-infrared lights. What it means photons very organized, like soldiers, that they work like together. And because of this, the penetration depth is easier. Now the whole industry moved from lasers to LEDs devices. You probably heard about the panels. So LED devices, they don't have coherent light. And typically their LEDs are weak. So if you compare to laser devices, they have less penetration depth. Yes. But I'm going to talk soon about the very specific device which work exactly like laser. Here you just need to understand that to make impact, energetic impact on the cells which are deep inside the body, you need near-infrared light.
Like if you want to affect mitochondria, we need something that goes much deeper because it's on a cellular level. So we need to go through the different layers of organs, tissues, and skin. So laser, it's also red light therapy, but it's very precise, condensed in one small point, and it's goes deeper, but it's in a different type of wavelengths, or is it more so coherent?
Mm-hmm. Coherent light will deliver energy without loss into the body. However, you should understand this. If you've gone like 2 centimeters in the body, coherence is lost because it bounces off the cells, everything become chaotic. So basically lasers really do work probably up to 4 centimeters. Some lasers may be a bit deeper, but with lasers you have to be careful because like exactly you said, all energy focus in one wavelength. So it's really directed, very, very specific. That's why when you go to aesthetic lasers, they can even burn your skin, right? Invisible, and you burn it. With LEDs, there is no problem like this at all. Because with LEDs, the beam is spread. It's not like one collimated stimulation, it's spread. And so it covers bigger area, but also distribute energy across this area. So it's always safe. You do not burn when you use LED devices. This is very big thing for safety aspect.
I want to mention also back in 80s and 90s, we already had laser developed. And I had my first experience. I worked in a dermatology clinic while I was in medical school. And one of the professors first time used laser, and I remember it was red, on acupuncture points on me. So he was experimenting on me, and remember putting one specific point, one tiny laser beam. That's how most lasers use. So it's one specific point in the body with concentrated light that treats specific area. And we know that lasers can be very powerful. We use laser in surgeries, right, to cauterize the vascular system and also remove tattoos, so a lot of different things. So it's like very powerful and sometimes damaging, and can create scarring if you don't use properly or if you don't calculate the dose of power, correct?
They're absolutely correct. But I've got laser acupuncture machine with the 10 laser needles, red, green, blue, and infrared. So I do practice that. Right now, modern lasers, what they do, they rotate to be able to carry more points to stimulate. But right now, since NASA discovered LED has beneficial effects, that would have been end of 90s. The whole industry has exponential growth, and it's a lot cheaper. I remember my first laser was in like circa 30,000 K, very expensive. But now you see laser devices, the LED devices are a lot more affordable.
Yeah. So let's talk about LED. I've been in some wellness center where I use it. So you have 2 big panels and you stay in front of them and get your body exposed. So very general accumulation of red light. Is what kind of spectrum in those panels? Do you know? And also compared to specifically wearable device that you can put in specific areas. So tell us what's the difference and what's the benefits of both.
So it's, again, historically, everything started from NASA, where one of the scientists had problem with his hands, and he worked with the red LED lights for plants and seeing if this helped plants to grow. And suddenly he found that all his wounds healing so fast. He's like, oh my God, that's something. And then they designed series of experiments with the human being. So panel actually came from that time because the plants were exposed to panels. And yes, panels are good because you can generally create ambient lights and have systemic energetic effect. Typically, panels have red and infrared light. Sometimes they may add some other blue, for example, light. Blue light has property, they destroy porphyrins in bacteria, so you have a bactericidal effect. So these panels, you need to undress, you need to stand for about half an hour in front of it, and you need to cover the eyes because the illumination is very strong. The FlexBeam, it's the very first device which is wearable. So this is designed for human being, not for plants. It's designed to be on the body. So you put it in skin contact, and you can put all around the shoulder. You can put it over the neck. You can put it over the low back, legs, whatever. So it's designed to have very powerful LEDs. And you could see they can beam three-dimensionally. So you're really delivering very potent beam inside. So compared to panels, there is no energy loss. There are no photons lost. It's completely over the body, and it's wrapped around the body tight. In this particular device called FlexBeam, we have LEDs are so potent. This is, again, only one device on the market which has so potent lights, because it's in watts. All devices are expressed in milliwatts. This is in watts. So it gives very potent boost. And this potency is actually the key to deliver LED light deep to the area. With FlexBeam, you deliver 8 centimeters. Maybe you find the last photon at 10 centimeters, but I would say confidently 8 centimeters in the body. So definitely, if you have hip pain, if you have sciatica pain, you can put it and it will reach that target tissue to energize these cells to get the flow of the blood, which will bring oxygen, bring nutrients for healing. It improves collagen structure, collagen quality. It just makes turnover of the cells. So if you want to rejuvenate and heal that part of the body, that's what you do with energy turnover of the cell. Life will be a lot faster.
So what inspired you to create a FlexBeam device?
I already explained that I work with bioenergetic devices in my clinic, and very soon I was combining different, particularly with photobiomodulation, they're synergetic. So I was combining different modality, and the people would come once a week. And then the whole week they're at home, and the healing is not happening because they're just waiting for next appointment. So I said to myself, they need to take something home and continue what I've given them, massive input of energy, but they need support with energy. Because believe me or not, that was my personal discovery in my therapeutic journey, that the lack of energy fundamentally responsible for the fact that people don't heal in time. So if we replenish this energy, everything works. Nutrition works, drug works, the body heals a lot faster. And that was my discovery. That's why I wanted them to take home and continue until my next visit to see me. But my dream is actually create not just photobiomodulation device, but create all sorts of other stimulation devices. It's still in progress. It's still being developed, but FlexBeam is the first baby. So once I thought that's what I would like to do, I team up with a couple of my colleagues and we start looking for manufacturers who can make this. And I found really amazing two guys, one entrepreneur and the other was the optical engineer. They were like on the same wavelengths with me. They understood what I want, and they were also with higher purpose to help humankind, to high purpose to give this technology to people, to alleviate suffering, because I've been through suffering and I know it's not fun. And I was so lucky to find these people who make my dream to come through.
Wow. So you're saying it's the first wearable device. There is no other wearable light therapy devices out there, correct?
There are a couple of companies who we inspired. They created similar concept on the market, but I'm proud to say we were first.
And so what makes your device different from other? It's like more power, right?
Yes. Also, you can imagine this one, you can tie it to the body through the side. So here, we can wear like a belt. So you don't need to undress, spend 40 minutes, whatever, standing in front of the panel. You can carry on doing what you do. And this is quite significant because we simply don't have time nowadays. We are constantly busy with something. Here, if I have problem with my low back, I just stick it to my low back and I continue working on my computer. Mm-hmm. It's really designed for convenience. But from therapeutic points, number one, very potent device which enables to deliver energy deep in the body. And this gives you therapeutic effect. Number two, it's got the dose. So we have 3 programs and each program 10 minutes. So within 10 minutes, the body receives sufficient dose for stimulation. And why I'm stressing on this is because there are lots of studies which publish about photobiomodulation, but sometimes it's a hit and miss, and sometimes they say, oh, this is rubbish, doesn't work. No, it's because they didn't get parameters right. They did not observe the dose. Dose, basically, it means how strong the light comes out of this, how long are they on the body, how far are they on the body? Because if you take the source further away, it dissipates. Okay. On the body will be strong. But because we know all the parameters, we know it's always on the body. We knew the dose, we calculated into each program. So in 10 minutes, it's enough for you to stimulate one area.
And what's the program? You said there is 3 different levels. What's the difference between them?
Yes, this is also quite useful because you can target your treatment. So say you have a wound somewhere on the body, then you choose program 1. When you choose program 1, it will be primarily red light. If you choose program 2, it's a little bit deeper. So small joints, like an Achilles tendon, very close to the surface, yes. If you want to target muscles which are deeper in the body compared to surface ligament, then you need program 3. And then you put over the muscle which bothers you, and it's after 10 minutes, take it off and it's all going to be fixed.
Mm-hmm. Can you put over clothes or you have to be on the skin?
It has to be on the skin, simply because light is being absorbed by the fabric. Like if you work through the bandage wound, if bandage is white or neutral color, like nude, it's less absorption. But if it's black, it will completely soak the whole energy from the device into the fabric. And the actual fabric will be warm, yeah.
And you mentioned a lot of research study. Do you know where people can find that research?
So if you look for studies, you can go on PubMed, for example. PubMed is a library, yes. And you just type photobiomodulation, or you can type near-infrared lights or red light therapy. It will come up with thousands and thousands of papers. On Google Scholar, this is another search engine. Google Scholar gives you into million papers, but they are not as classified and not as thorough as would be like peer review published studies under PubMed. I prefer PubMed for quality of the study. We have main researchers, very good to look at the work of Dr. Michael Hamblin. He, I think, retired now, but he was a Harvard professor, and he dedicated his latest career to study photobiomodulation. He studied lasers, LEDs, and it's actually him who said, you know, it doesn't matter what the source of light. If you have right parameters, you can create photostimulation. Look, Juanita Anders, she's in charge of Photobiomodulation Society in America. Work of Tina Karu. She is from Estonia. She was the very, very first main researcher for lasers and LEDs. And also you could see lots of in sports medicine, because, you know, when you're talking about charging with energy the cells, that's it. You can perform better. And, you know, now athletes fight even for the split of the second sometimes, yes? So anything which helps to optimize the body and to produce better effect and function would count.
It's not only for healing, it's also for wellness, right? Can be used.
Yes.
Prevention.
Yes. Red light is known to stimulate production of melatonin. And melatonin is now becoming super
Super supplement.
Supplement, exactly. So before everybody was running glutathione is number one. Now they all talking about why? Because of its property to clear oxidative burden from this at the cellular level. So it's like cleaning the cell from rubbish. A very recent discovery, 2020, 21, 23, the papers come out talking that apparently in human body, we can produce this melatonin in cells inside mitochondria. This melatonin is being produced only under near-infrared lights. Near-infrared lights stimulate release of melatonin, which will be clearing oxidative stress. To me, this is ultimate rejuvenation because you work with your body at the cellular level, clearing buildup of reactive oxygen species, and very simple, without any side effects, just being in the near-infrared light. So you could be outdoor. One thing I didn't know, that when the green, like trees, they apparently bounce near-infrared light to environment. But if you walk in the woods, you receive extra stimulation. It's really good for you.
Interesting. That's why in Japan, they all go forest bathing. And that's one of my anti-aging trick. I go every day to the forest and hug the tree.
You know, there is a science behind it. And now we just like lifting a veil. There is a study by Kvitnov. I can share with this paper. It's really, really interesting. They talk that we produce this melatonin in our brain, in our gut, in our muscles, thymus, ovaries, you know, in different cells in the body in the big quantities. These near-infrared lights will stimulate production of melatonin, both by your pineal gland and by special cells. This is really good to repair DNA damage, to repair cellular environment.
Can you put on the head like that?
We do not recommend, and I tell you why, because near-infrared lights penetrate the skull. It's gonna go through the skull and reach the brain because, you know, 8 centimeters deep, you will be stimulating brain. And we just don't know how long to stimulate the brain. We have not done research. So for now, I tell people that they can use in program 1, because program 1, it's red light. So it's going to stimulate hair bulbs.
For the hair growth.
So you can use it 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes at the time. But program 2 and 3 contains near-infrared lights. I do not recommend to you experimenting. Because maybe some people have very active cancer going on or aneurysm. If they don't know their body, I don't want people to be put in any even remote damage. Okay, so if they understand this, we put this in the little booklet which comes with the device.
It's good to know because I see some of the devices specifically designed for the head stimulate the brain. It has some red light, but it's probably just the red light. It's not infrared. And that's the purpose of it. Increase neural productivity and specifically for different degeneration of the brain. So I'm not sure if they have infrared and what type of wavelengths they use it. So that's why I ask, because it looked like red light.
They normally use both red and primarily near-infrared, because if you want to go through the bone, you need near-infrared, because it's the only one gives you penetration depth. Those devices are good and they have good efficacy for neurogenesis, for the prevention of Alzheimer's, dementia. But I'd like people to caution and say, have your MRI scan before. If everything is okay, nothing is growing alien there, go for it. It will be beneficial. I am very sure there is a very good research going on in this area. But if you don't know, it's better to check before.
And speaking of growth, is it contraindication to use for any tumors and cancers?
It's very difficult question. I'll tell you why. Because the research come up 50-50. 50% of scientists saying, well, it actually helping with cancer. 50 saying, no, it stimulates growth of the cells because it gives energy for cancer cells. So in our approach, we say, if you know there is an actively growing cancer, then don't put it there. Just for any remote chance you might stimulate it. And if you've done 1, 2, 3 times, it's okay. It's when people do it constantly as a regime. So it's difficult to say because, cancers are complicated condition, so many causes for this, so many stages, and
unpredictable as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe you can share some cases that you have with your clients, or any feedback that you receive from the clients who use FlexBeam.
Well, this is my favorite topic because I am in contact with anybody who bought FlexBeam. They can reach me in all social media. We have even a forum on Circle and Trustpilot. People go there and we don't know these people, but people write and tell me, oh my God, I had this peripheral neuropathy. I'm so much better. Or my husband uses it all the time because his knee problem and so much better. We have, for efficacy of the device, we have almost 5 out of 5 score. The case studies, I can tell you, I had a lady from Canada. She reached out and because neighbor got it, but she didn't have money because she was on benefits. She had fibromyalgia, severe pain, 7, 8 out of 10 all the time. She is bedridden, can't do any housework. She lives in Canada in a very cold area where it's difficult to survive. And so she said, can I be your study subject? I said, okay. So we sent her a FlexBeam. I met her online, explained how to use and said, can you just fill up this form, just put the score of pain every day, before you put it and after. And it was remarkable because after each session, she consistently had reduction of pain. Like if it was 7, then by the end of it, it's 5 or 4. In the first month, she already got the pain relief down to 2. She stopped medication, all medication. She stopped within 2 weeks. And then she was completely using FlexBeam, and that gives her pain relief, okay? And she started moving about in the house within first months. Altogether, I think she had 3.5 months. But by the end of the study, she was shoveling snow. It was remarkable. I was so pleased. And she would be putting FlexBeam like 4 or 5 placements all over her upper body. Like she would do it for an hour almost every day. She told me that it gives her quality of life. And what else she wants? She said she sleeps. The doctor first time she saw her smiling, laughing, and so quite remarkable. Not everyone maybe produce such a tremendous reaction and a good reaction. Most people for ordinary aches and pains, injuries in the gym, sport things, good, very good for period pain.
So you put on the abdomen?
Yeah, low abdomen and sacrum. And you could do it 2-3 times a day when the cramps are very strong. It literally relieves pain. And after a few periods, it's less pain. And then eventually they don't have it. So that's what they're telling me. A frozen shoulder, neck pain. For the neck pain, we also recommend to do not just on the back of the neck, but also like side of the neck like this. So it will be stimulating. Shoulder pains, knee, any like ligamentous injuries, Achilles tendon rupture. And we did survey 30% of our users use it for the gut health. They put it on the stomach.
How does it affect the microbiome? Is it any effect on that?
Yes, there are studies which showing that microbiota is light sensitive, and you can get improvement in lactobacillus within 2 weeks' time. You already start regrowing positive, good flora. So we have lots of people using it just for gut health. Sleep is another one because we stimulate production of melatonin. For sleep, this is very good position. So you just hold it like a baby. I also like to use it on the low back as well.
How about for dosage per day? Is there any maximum time or dose you can receive, or you cannot go over a certain time?
So normally we go by how active the process. If it's a fresh injury, including the post-surgical, you can use 3 times a day. And you can just use right there where it presented itself, yes? So maybe shorter sessions, but 3 times a day. But if you deal with something chronic, like low back pain, chronic neck pain, you could do spread just once a day. you put it where it hurts, but then look at body mechanics, because the body will be compensating. So maybe group of muscle which is tight next to it needs to be stimulated. So you work a more intelligent way. And there are some people who are very depleted. They have actually low count of mitochondria. For those people, they need to do it every other day, gently induce themselves into that.
Why is that?
They won't be able to bind that light, over a period of time, like 2-3 weeks time, you start creating new mitochondria. It does mitochondria genesis. So you will build up number of mitochondria eventually. But this is just general guidance for people to use. You can also use it before you go to the gym. If nothing wrong with you, but you want your energy, like you said, in wellness. I like to go to the gym and to maximize my time there. I want to do my personal best. So if you do 1 hour before, like on the muscles or part of the body you're going to be working on, it will give you much better outcome.
Instead of drink, like pre-workout drink, you put a FlexBeam, and it's much better probably than drink that has a lot of different,
Yeah, lots of chemicals. But we did internal study, actually. People who cycling, people who run marathons, it's amazing. You will perform better.
And how about recovery after exercise or after some athletic event? Would it also beneficial for that?
Yeah. I've done it on myself too. But I tell you, one of the therapists in Norway, he runs a neurology clinic, and he prepared a rider for motocross who was very, very damaged. They do all day, 4 days on row. You'll be exhausted. And because he was doing every day before motocross FlexBeam, he didn't have DOMS. There was no soreness, or very little. And I want to publish this case study because it's so interesting.
Question about misconceptions. What some misconceptions that people have about red light therapy, and how would you address them?
Number one, people often think, LED, this is LED in my ceiling. How can it be therapeutic? Like completely not understanding. It's of course not the same as LED in your ceiling. Yes, there is a very specifically designed for a specific area. Lots of people thinking, well, again, if it's sunlight, why don't I just go and be in sunlight? Yeah, you have the chance, go for it. Another misconception is in science, there are some studies come up with negative results because they just too much stimulation of too little stimulation. And then they come up and they become disbelievers. And the biggest problem is that for a number of years, particularly in chiropractic industry, they've been told that only lasers work. LEDs rubbish, they're pointless. But maybe there was a case, 40 years ago, but it's not the case today. Look at LED industry. I mean, everything is rest on LEDs, and we have light emitting diodes in all sorts of spectrum. Now LEDs become so close to laser, like our device produces between 625 to 635, very small range, and it's energy efficient. It's clean. It's not contaminating. There is no anything toxic comes out of it. Like the whole industry is completely in a different ball game. So I just want people to have open mind, look up research and try it. By the way, with this device, with so confidence, we give people 60 days money back guarantee, because you can literally try it and say, well, I don't like it. Then you can return with no question asked. Wow. Because we know people will keep it. I know that because they write to me.
I'm so excited to order. I'm so excited to order my own and experience, and I have kids who are active, and so whole family can benefit from that. And speaking about LEDs, and I know there is a new technology now that we can be very precise and eliminate a lot of, electric pollution or electric smoke. How about electromagnetic radiation that we all worry about? How is that in FlexBeam?
Well, hardly any. We have tested, it's less than in mobile phone, less and your device with you everywhere. And it works for about 7-8 sessions without any charging. So when I treat patients, I have actually 3 devices. I use 2 at once on the body. So I charge them in between, but on the body I use without any charge. So it's completely benign, completely. There is no EMF virtually. But on the panels, of course, they do. That's why they say stay away, I don't know, so many inches away from the panel.
Okay, great to hear that. So how listener can find FlexBeam? Is it available globally?
Yes, we have a website and anybody can go on the website, order it. Website is called recharge.health because our mission in life, recharge people's health. We want people to be able to be looking after themselves, not relying on somebody else, but having some tool at home, which will be the first friend before they go to an accident and emergency. At least they can use that.
Mm-hmm. And also we give a discount code to our listeners. It's $60 off the regular price that you find on the website. And the coupon code will be in the show notes, so you can find it and use it and experiment with FlexBeam. So any advice would you give to healthcare practitioners or individuals who are just starting to explore the benefits of red light therapy?
My advice to you is stay open-minded and look for variety of devices. If you understand how body's energy work, then you will be able to plug any device you learn about. Because if you can potentiate energy in the body, you will be able to make your healing of this patient. It will literally take off like a rocket. So be curious and ask questions. And if they're good questions and there will be good answers to you.
Also, probably, what's the goal for the red light therapy if they want to use for the skin rejuvenation or for the healing the more deeper tissue? So that's also a variety of different options for that, correct?
Yes, because it's basically work with the energy in the body, in the organism. That's why we have such a variety of clinical effectiveness, because it's not like you specifically tune in one function. You give the body ability to do it. We create the environment which is suitable for normal functioning and healing. And that's why it's so many indications for this therapy.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything else that you would like to add to our conversation that we did not discuss yet?
I'd say check it out. And if you have questions, you can always reach out to me. I'm there for you. I've developed so much knowledge in just using it, testing, evaluating, and getting feedback from people. So I would always be able to help you to find solution for you. Literally, my message would be take control of your recovery. Be responsible for your own health. Make it happen. Don't wait for somebody else to come and fix it for you.
Great advice. Last questions that I ask every guest to our podcast. Our podcast name is Harmonic Alignment. So what does it mean from your perspective, harmonic alignment?
Well, harmony itself suggests that something is balanced in life. Life is not perfect. I mean, we live in a stressful environment and we get emotional stress, we got physical stressors all over. You know, it's a journey in life. So we get out of balance. I think if you recognize this and you want to make steps to balancing and creating harmony in your life, and it's not only on physical level, it should be on emotional level, in the way you think, the way you project yourself. But I think if you hold this love in the core of yourself, that love resonance will create that harmony for you. And so if you do everything with love in mind, I think you'll be very quickly harmonized and balanced.
I love your answer. I am very resonated with that. So that's why I practice holistic approach to health, everything in consideration. And if we just concentrate on one thing but not other, we cannot heal, and everything from love. So you give love and you receive love in yourself and also with the community. So I'm very grateful for your presentation today. And thank you, Dr. Zulia.
Thank you so much, Dr. Larisa. It was absolutely amazing today. We covered so much, and I look forward to, speaking with you anytime. Thank you, everyone.
There is a lot of red light therapy devices on the market, but there's one that just holds a special place in my heart. It was co-created by Dr. Zulia Frost, and she has really been a leader in understanding the healing effects of photobiomodulation, which is a big word for red light therapy. My father, who is a dairy farmer, and he's been milking cows for 50 years, his hands are swollen. In fact, his right hand has particularly been giving him issues. Really, after the first treatment, his hand went back to normal. He can't tell the difference between his two hands. They both actually feel like he can use them again. This is such a powerful device, and the thing that makes it so special is how easy it is to use. There's really 3 settings, so you can't mess it up. 1 is just like for the surface. Level 2 is for more the deep tissue, and level 3 goes below and into the joints and bones. It's such a spectacular device. It can do so many wonderful healing effects, from stimulating the immune system to actually helping people with pain. And when we have loved ones in pain, there's nothing more important than helping them find a solution for that. And if they can find a solution without drugs, well, sign me up for that. So if you get a chance, go to the website and check it out for yourself. It's recharge.health, Dr. Zulia Frost, and it's the FlexBeam. Give it a try. We are so excited today to share with you one of our favorite new products to help your skin optimize. Discover the next generation of skincare with Civ Biome Balancing Serum, a groundbreaking spore-based formula designed to harmonize your unique skin microbiome. Powered by advanced quorum sensing technology, this innovative serum restores balance and promotes resilience from within, adapting to your skin's natural biology for a healthier, more resilient barrier. By establishing a strong, balanced foundation, it revitalizes your skin and enhances its natural beauty. Experience the power and harmony with your skin and transform your routine with Civ Biome Balancing Serum. Available at SIVCARE.com, civcare.com. Are you ready for your Energy for Life bioenergetic nest scan? Dr. Larisa Sharipova and myself, Priscilla Koblenz, offer personal, private, 90-minute consults to get you back to optimal health and well-being. And starting in the new year, we're offering an Energy Mastery Program, a monthly membership which will give you access to a monthly scan as well as 2 group masterclasses to help you optimize your wellness in the new year. For more details, visit the show notes or check out harmonicalignment.co. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Harmonic Alignment. If something resonated with you, we would love to hear about it. Please consider leaving us a 5-star review and subscribing so you don't miss an upcoming episode. Thank you. The information contained in this podcast is provided for informational purposes only and not intended for the purpose of diagnosing, treating, curing, or preventing any disease. Before using any products referenced on the podcast, consult with your healthcare provider. Carefully read all labels and directions. The products and information received through the podcast should not be used to replace a consultation or advice from your healthcare provider. If you suspect you have a medical problem or have any healthcare questions, please promptly call your healthcare provider. This podcast, including Dr. Larisa Sharipova and Priscilla Koblenz, and the producers are not responsible for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained in this podcast. This podcast may contain endorsements and advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct financial benefit to the product or services referenced.